Perfect. So we've actually had lots of questions submitted. So we're just going to get straight into them. So one of the first ones is, obviously a lot of you will be watching, you've all received offers, hopefully, for the university, and you're probably wondering kind of what the next steps are. So I'm going to ask Scott if he can maybe talk us through kind of what the next steps are for our offer holders. What should they be doing next?
Yeah, of course. So there's plenty to do once you've received your offer, and certainly the work doesn't stop there. But first of all, the thing that you need to do is ensure that you accept your offer from us. If we're your first choice, you can firm accept us. If we are your second choice, you can accept us as your insurance choice, or you can decline us. Simply just log into your UCAS track to make your choice. Another thing to be wary of is the UCAS reply date. So UCAS has made some amendments to the date by which you should respond to your offers. Those dates that apply to you will be viewable from your UCAS track. So log on to your UCAS track and check that out. For any undergraduate applicants applying through the Common App, the deadline for acceptance is the 21st of July 2022. So please send confirmation of your acceptance to ugadmissions@glasgow.ac.uk. Changes of your offer and acceptance status will be sent to you via email. You should also be starting to look at your finance options as well. So you can apply for student finance before your place is confirmed and up to 9 months after you start your course. We recommend you applying as soon as you can to ensure you receive your funds in time to start your studies. Late applications may mean a delay in receipt of your payments at the start of the term. For anybody who is not eligible for student finance, potentially international students who'd be looking at scholarship opportunities, you can also start to look at the scholarships that are listed on our scholarships search engine and see if you are eligible for any potential funding offered by the university. As an offer holder as well, you want to start looking at accommodation, and you can start to apply for our University of Glasgow student accommodation after you have accepted your offer. You can apply with either a conditional or unconditional offer as well, but the process in being allocated that accommodation is slightly different depending on what status your offer is at. The deadline for a guaranteed offer of accommodation for undergraduate students and study abroad students this year is July 14th. So you need to make sure that you've applied for your student accommodation before that date if you want to stay on the University of Glasgow accommodation. You can still apply for accommodation after that July 14th deadline, but no longer would the guarantee of an accommodation offer be there if you did apply after that deadline. And finally, you probably want to check out some of our resources about arriving in Glasgow. Check out some of the excellent information that's on our website about being a new student in Glasgow. Check out some of the student blogs, student vlogs, what it's like to be the day in the life of a student. And hopefully, I know our students here are going to give some great insight to what it's like to study at Glasgow today. But certainly check out what's important to do. There's also checklists on that on the new student websites about what you need to do before you enroll and before you start your class and get you fully settled and ready for starting your studies at Glasgow.
That's great. Thank you so much, Scott. Another question has come in. It kind of links quite nicely about kind of the variety of accommodation, and it's sometimes a bit overwhelming, I guess, kind of choosing which one you want to apply for. I don't know, Scott, you can actually give us a bit more information kind of about the accommodation and kind of what we have on offer, and then maybe we can bring in Louis and Disha to tell them about their experience living in accommodation as well.
Yeah, certainly. So from a practical standpoint, we have 7 undergraduate residents within our Glasgow campus that are self-catered, and we have 1 catered residence known as Wolfson Hall, which is at a slightly higher cost as some meals are included. At our Dumfries campus, we do have also 3 self-catered residents available for you to apply for. We expect that the accommodation will range from will be around about £500 per month for the university accommodation, depending on which residence you choose to stay in. But in terms of selecting your residence, it would be really advisable to go online to our accommodation team's website and check out the residence profiles of each of these residences, which will show you a tour of the accommodation, provide key points on each residence, such as proximity to campus, amenities and facilities available at those residences, and the cost and the amount of room sizes within each residence as well. You're also required to list a number of accommodation choices within your accommodation application. So it'd really be advisable to make sure that you do check out all the accommodation options on offer and identify the ones that would be your preferred options, as it's not always guaranteed your first choice of accommodation. And also just to pinpoint that we are going to have some live accommodation tours next Wednesday on our Facebook. So we'd really encourage you to check those out and get kind of further insight into what our residents are like here on campus.
That's great. Thank you. And just bringing Louis, which accommodation did you stay in, and kind of what was your experience like with that as well?
I stayed in student apartments, which is University of Glasgow accommodation. It's not private halls. I think it was relatively new at the time, but it was the closest to campus, and I really wanted to be as close as possible. All accommodation is relative to campus, and each one has their own reputation. I've never had a problem with any of the student apartment or any of the accommodations. I remember in the open day when I got an office holders, I ran around with my mom to all the accommodation, and we looked at every single one of them, and they all tick all the boxes for halls of residence. But student apartments particularly, I was in a very highly international flat, and because of that closeness to campus, it made the experience very enjoyable. And yeah, Murano, as some of you may know, has a very big reputation for being quite a party place, as well as all the other ones, to be honest. But they're all in walking distance, so there's no problem there.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And Disha, which accommodation did you stay in?
Well, I am currently in Kelvin Hall Gate, and I've loved it so far. I think when it came to me choosing accommodation, because it was like COVID times, I couldn't obviously visit, and there weren't a lot of tours happening live. So I just had to base it off the videos. But I would say to anyone like looking for accommodation, look at the location, like Louis said. And also if you want an ensuite or not. Like I personally wanted an ensuite, so that's why I opted for this as my first choice, and I luckily got it. But yeah, I've loved staying in student accommodation. This is owned by University of Glasgow, so I haven't stayed in private just yet. But yeah, that's my advice.
Perfect. No, that sounds good. And like I said, there's lots of different options, so it's well worth going have a little look on our website at them. So we just had a question come in about kind of applying for financial assistance. I think this is something that I probably can answer, especially kind of looking at kind of students coming from the UK. So if you're coming from anywhere in the UK, you can actually apply through the government for a loan to cover both your tuition fees and like your living costs. And so depending on where in the UK you are, depends on which awarding body you apply to. So if you're from England, you apply to Student Finance England. If you're from Northern Ireland, it's Student Finance Northern Ireland, and so on. If you're Scottish, you apply to SAS as well. And it's nice and easy. It's an online application, and we suggest you do it, kind of start it kind of once you kind of got your firm choice for university. So that's normally kind of around March, April time. And the idea behind this is if you start it early, then it'll make sure that the finance will come in on time, ready for you to start in September. It'll ask for things like your household income, as this is how they work out kind of what living cost loans you'll be eligible for. So that's just something to be aware of if you're a parent or guardian. The university also offers loads of scholarships for students coming from all around the world. And I'd really recommend maybe going on the website and looking at the database. It's really easy to use. You can basically pop in where you're from, what the course is, and it'll bring up all the different scholarships that you might be eligible for. Some are automatic and some will have an application. So my best advice is just to go and do your research, because you don't want to miss out kind of on that money. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of overview, especially if you're coming from the UK linked with finances. Another question that's come in is about results day and kind of what will happen next. And I wonder, Scott, can I bring you in again to kind of answer this one, kind of what will be happening around results day?
Of course, no problem at all. So first of all, better just highlight the results days for UK students in particular. So the SQA results day will be Tuesday, 9th of August, and the A-level results day will be Thursday, 18th of August. So we do understand there are some international students on the session as well, and those that may not be doing A-levels or SQA results. But if you do receive results within this period or towards one of your offers, you need to ensure that you upload evidence of your results that you're awaiting to your applicant self-service portal, or send us evidence of your results that are part of your conditions. Results day can be really stressful. Make sure you have your UCAS sign-in details. Make sure you have your UCAS ID number, both handy and ready to provide if you're asked for these. Also ensure all your contact details are up to date in case anybody from UCAS, university, needs to get in contact with you. And that leads me on to the next point, which is to make sure that you are available on results days. We can't speak with anyone else about your application unless they have been nominated access on your behalf. So it's really important that you as the individual is available if possible, so we can discuss your application with you if there's any issues or questions that you have regarding your application or your potential offer. And kind of going back to how to provide us evidence of your results, just ensuring that you know how your exam results are being delivered is important also. Are they being sent straight to us from UCAS, or do you need to send your results directly to us? So if you get the exam grades you need, your application should be updated automatically on your UCAS track. But if you've not obtained your required grades, you may be offered an alternative or a changed course offer, which you would need to also accept or decline from the university. You may not get the required grades or offered a place, but you can still possibly apply for other courses that may have vacancies through our clearing as well. If no decisions are showing on results day, then you do need to get in contact with us, and we would really encourage you to do that. There's also some really useful information on UCAS on how to prepare for results day and what happens after receiving your results. So we'd really encourage you to check that out also on the UCAS website.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Scott. So we've had some questions come in specifically for our students, so we might as well get them involved. I think the first one should be why you decided to actually apply to University of Glasgow. So Disha, would you like to go first? What was your reason for choosing to study here?
So out of all the places I, was looking at studying, UofG really stood out to me because of the flexibility of first year and second year. So as a social science student, I wasn't, I'm not currently just doing international relations. I was able to pick 2 other subjects, and that really stood out to me because, I can be very indecisive about what I want to do. And that was really helpful in like figuring out what I want to take onto honours and actually specialize in when it gets to 3rd and 4th year. And also just, I'd spoken to a lot of University of Glasgow students, and most of the feedback I'd heard was positive. And it wasn't like, there was just a lot of good energy and positive vibes around UofG, and I just found that other universities just weren't like that. Yeah.
Perfect. That sounds good. And Louis, why did you choose Glasgow?
I chose Glasgow because I was one of those students who went to all the office holders days for like all the universities. And when I went to Glasgow, not only was the course, my course theatre and English literature, so impressive, the staff were So they were so kind and they were so helpful with everything that I wanted to do. And they actually kind of sold to me a kind of career path with the university module, which I didn't feel other universities were doing. And that was when I was in A level. So I'm from London originally. And coming up here, not only was the module fantastic, but also the city was mind blowing. I'd never seen anything so visceral, and just I guess when you come to Glasgow and you experience the University of Glasgow for the first time, you really do think it's magical. I definitely think the place is a massive reason to come to Glasgow because it is unlike any other city I've encountered. So that is one of my reasons.
No, you're definitely right. I think Glasgow is a great city, especially for students. Which leads us nicely onto kind of Freshers Week and kind of if you'd recommend kind of going and getting involved. Louis, did you go to Freshers and did you enjoy it? What did you get involved in?
Yeah, Freshers Week it's a blast. Every student I think should go to Freshers Week. We have 4 student bodies here at Glasgow. We've actually got 2 unions, which is unlike most universities. We've got the Glasgow University Union, the GUU, and we've also got the QMU, the Queen Margaret Union. And having 2 unions, I've experienced it kind of causes some competition, and that competition allows both unions really to kind of level up and see what's the best kind of events and activities they can put on, and that makes it even more enjoyable because there's even more of a plentitude. There's pretty much everything in Freshers Fair, which is this massive event on campus where you go and visit and say hello to all the societies. They give you flyers and they tell you how you can get involved. There's everything. I mean, I think Freshers Week for me was a lot. It was a lot of partying. I mean, everyone who's done Freshers Week knows every single night you're partying, and during the day you're in this kind of hustle bustle of student life where everyone's running around campus to get freebies, going to different fairs like the Freshers Fair. There's also a sports fair where you're introduced to all the sports societies. And because Glasgow is a significantly big student city, it creates this amazing, intense environment. So yeah, if you want to, I would recommend anyone who comes to a university, just go to Freshers Week, experience everything. It is really tiresome, but you get so much out of it and you meet so many people. You actually get to, if you're in student halls, you will be able to really get to know your flatmates. You'll get to kind of create those bonds instantly, and Freshers Week propels it forwards because you've got all these societies and student bodies involved. So we've got 4 student bodies and 2 unions, and there's so much going on. So 100%.
That's great. No, definitely. And Disha, what are your thoughts on Freshers? Because you've only just kind of gone through that at the end of last year, so it must be fresh in your mind.
I mean, yeah, we pretty much covered everything that I was going to say. But yeah, I would say definitely go to Freshers Week. It's such a great opportunity to meet new people. And even if you're not sure of what you want to do or what sorts of events you want to go to, it's definitely a place to kind of just try everything out at once, and it'll help you figure out, who your people are and what kinds of events you're interested in, and whether you want to party that hard or whether you want to stay at home. Because I can definitely say during Freshers, I didn't party that much because I was still coming out my shell. But I found, a great group of friends, and overall Freshers Week is just an amazing time to just also get to know the university more and like walk around, and it was just so nice.
Oh, good. That's what we like to hear. You're right. There's so much going on and you can kind of dip in as much or as little as you want. And obviously, like, you come to university to get a degree, but there's all these extracurricular things that you can get involved in. And at Glasgow, we actually have over 220 different clubs and societies that you can join. I wonder, Disha, are you part of any clubs? What did you sign up to? Have you joined anything?
So I'm currently in like a Sustainable Development Goals Society, but I do know like my friends are in societies such as like Walking Society, Shrek Society. We even have Taylor Swift Society, which the University of Glasgow is very proud of. And I would just say, even if you're not sure, it's the same as Freshers Week. Even if you're not sure what societies you want to be part of or what clubs you want to be associated with, just go for it and try it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to go to other events. But societies and clubs within Glasgow hold, I think, almost weekly events. So it's worth going along. You can meet new people, and you could also figure out if you want to be on the committee. Like I was on the committee for the Sustainable Development Goals society that I was part of. And yeah, you just get to hold a bunch of events, meet new people, and have a lot of fun.
No, definitely, you're right. And Louis, are you part of any clubs or societies?
Yeah, so in my final year, more effort on the dissertation front, but I have been involved with theatre societies in the past. I'm involved with the boxing society, lots of different sports ones, the skiing, and as Disha says, there's so many every week. They're putting on so many events. Yeah, you have a Shrek society. You also have the Taylor Swift society, which I know everyone's very proud of. But for every single subject and quirk, there is a society. You will be surprised to discover like everything kind of attaches itself to you. And I would say there are also societies for different backgrounds and religious societies as well. So you're accommodated in every kind of aspect. I've had a lot of fun with societies. It's a great place, as Disha says, to meet people, and it creates a real community.
No, I think you're right. You're right. There's literally something for everyone out there. And if there isn't a society for you, you can actually set up your own as well. So absolutely loads of things to kind of get involved in. Well, here at the university, a big part of kind of our sellability, I guess, is kind of the flexibility of our courses, which basically means that you get to pick up other subjects alongside the original subject you've chosen. And this really allows you to actually try out the subjects before kind of fully kind of committing to them. And we always get asked about kind of what happens if you don't actually like the subject you originally chose. I wonder if I can bring Scott in to kind of help answer this, kind of what happens if you don't like that subject that you originally applied for on UCAS?
Yeah, of course. As you've rightly stated, the Scottish degree system is extremely flexible in its nature. So there is the possibility that you can change degree or course after you have begun studying. Whether it is possible will depend on a number of factors such as capacity or your academic performance or a number of other indicators. Certainly within our College of Arts and Social Sciences, there is a lot of flexibility with changing degree topics and certainly experimenting with other subject areas. In the School of Engineering, there are core modules in year one which may allow you to change your specialism after year one if you decide you want to do so. So if you're potentially doing civil engineering but actually think that you'd be better suited to aeronautical engineering, you've done those core modules in engineering in your year one and you'd be able to do so after that first year. There are some exceptions, though, to the flexible degree structure that we have here, especially on some of the professional programs such as nursing, medicine, dentistry, primary education, where students are required to follow a slightly more structured pathway. But if you are struggling with your subject that you've chosen or you're not enjoying it, we'd really encourage you to speak with your academic advisor, and they can provide guidance around what steps you could possibly take to being flexible with your degree.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Another important thing, and we get asked about this quite a lot, is kind of being aware of kind of what the support services are available at the university. And one of the great things is we have loads of support available, and you can use it as much or as little as you want. And I'm going to bring Scott in again just to tell us a little bit more about the support services that we have here at Glasgow. Yeah, thanks, Scott.
No problem. So yeah, as you've rightly touched upon, there's a number of support services available for students here at Glasgow, and we are extremely proud of the level of support we offer students, and our student satisfaction rates from these services have been extremely high over the years, and especially over the last couple of years. We've been really proud of the level of support we've been able to keep the students in kind of not the most normal of circumstances in particular. But we have a wide variety of support services that focus on mental health and well-being of our students, such as our doctor's surgery, peer support groups, student support officers, and a counselling and psychological service. We've also got services that focus on students' learning experience, such as the disability service, learning enhancement and academic development service, our exam support, and our IT help desk. But also focus on the development of our students while they're here, such as our career service, our Go Abroad team, and our volunteering team. Just to circle back to one of the services in particular, the career service, it's a really fantastic resource for students that can help them, in a wide variety of things to do with their career. So it can help them find part-time work alongside their studies through our student hub. internship opportunities through the Internship Hub, which are exclusive to only University of Glasgow students. They can help you with career planning, interview prep, as well as assistance on submitting CVs and cover letters. They also organise career fairs and networking events. So we'd really encourage students to sign up with the career service when they join here, and they can really kind of assist you alongside your degree and help kind of form your pathway once you've graduated out of the university as well.
That's great. Thank you, Scott. So I'm sure a lot of you watching us today are not from Scotland, and you're probably wondering what it's actually like to kind of move away from home and kind of that transition from living at home to living in a different city and studying there. Well, lucky for us, both Disha and Louis moved from London up to Glasgow to study. So I think I'll start with Louis. How did you find that kind of transition, kind of moving away from home and getting into that routine of studying?
I found it relatively easy. It's honestly not that far from London's not that far, but to get everything up here was a bit of a hassle. We had a lot of plates smashed and whatnot when I had to bring it up to the halls of residence. But actually, in terms of moving, as we mentioned before, when you find your footing, when you get into a rhythm at university, the balance between your social life and your studying, especially at Glasgow, is very easy. Because you're given so much information on how to handle everything that you are challenged with. And first year and second year, because not all subjects count towards your degree, they're both great years to really kind of have those challenges and really try and find your footing. I would say actually the transition physically, as I said before, with like all this luggage and stuff I had to move up, that was difficult. But when on arrival, I remember the first day we were greeted by staff and students alike to help with that transition, because it's not just your year who you're with during that time, it's also the entire university, everyone else. So you really do feel, at the beginning you may feel like a small fish in a big pond, but slowly, bit by bit, you will find your kind of I actually don't know what the collective term for like lots of fish is, but that's what I'm getting. You find your group and you find your footing, and everything is very straightforward. So it's very simple. But of course, saying that, if you are an international student, there may be other barriers and there may be lots of difficulties to find your way. It might be a bit harder, but of course, I'm not an international student, but perhaps.
Thank you. I always want to think when people kind of moving away, and I remember when I went to university that I took everything with me, forgetting that you can actually buy things kind of once you're there. So you don't actually need to bring everything with you. We do have shops in Glasgow, so that may make the transition slightly easier. And Disha, what's it been like for you kind of moving up to Scotland?
Yeah, I wish I'd known that. Like, I completely forgot that Scotland had shops and IKEA and, stores we could actually buy plates. But no, the transition, I would say, was very simple. Obviously, the physical part of it, no, because again, I come from London as well. So everything was packed into my mom's little car and we had like 3 suitcases. It was a lot. But I just remember being really excited, but also nervous, like thinking, will I be able to get around Glasgow? Will I be able to find things? How will I know what my go-to shop is? And just things like that. But I would say because Glasgow is so well connected, the transition is not going to be an issue. You can easily find information everywhere, and everyone is so helpful. Like Louis said, the university helps out as well. Upon arrival at the accommodation, everyone's so friendly, and they'll give you little like leaflets to help you get through your first couple of weeks. I would say it's very simple. Just the physical aspect of it is hard.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's things to remember that everyone's kind of in the same boat. So if you have any questions about anything, just ask, and we're there to kind of help you with that. Another really common question that we get asked is kind of how easy is it to kind of make friends, especially when you're moving away and you might not know anyone. But actually what you'll find is that not many people coming to Glasgow actually come with pre-made friends. And I wondered, Disha, since you kind of moved up quite recently, kind of how you found obviously moving away, being in your first year, meeting people, has it been easy?
So at first it was very difficult, especially coming from London again. Like none of my friends have moved away. Like none of them. I'm the only one that's gone as far as Scotland, and so it was quite daunting at first. But you know, when we were talking about Freshers Week in societies, it is just important to put yourself out there and try new things. It can be very scary at first, and you know, you're unsure: are people going to like me? Will you know? Am I talking about the right things? Am I wearing the right thing? But I can guarantee you, the more you put yourself out there, the more people you're going to come into contact with. And over time, you'll realize who your people are and what you like doing and who you like doing it with. And it doesn't even have to be like societies, clubs, or events. Most of my friends that I have now in my group, I've actually made through like, you know, tutorials and just like everyone's waiting for someone else to say hi. So I would just tell anyone, just say hi and start the conversation. And I guarantee you, you'll find your people.
Yeah, it's just all about being brave, isn't it? And it can be so terrifying. But again, remembering everyone else is in that same boat. And you're right, there's loads of opportunities through clubs, through your course, accommodation. You're never going to be on your own, are you? And I know we'll have a lot of people kind of tuning in from kind of all around the world. And we've got a few questions coming in asking, are there many international students in Glasgow, and kind of what kind of support is available for them? Scott, being from the international team, I wonder if you can kind of help answer this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as Louis and Disha have mentioned and recognised already, we've got a really extreme, diverse and multicultural student body here at the university. We have roughly about 33,000 students represented by over 140 different countries. So when you come here, you'll have an extremely international experience, extremely international outlook within your studies, which we believe is one of the main advantages of studying here at the university. In terms of support for our international students, kind of the main one is our international student support team, which are housed on campus at the Fraser building. And they provide support around visas, immigrations, student life and wellbeing, and also organise a fantastic programme of events for our welcome and orientation week for international students. The international student support team can provide support before you arrive with advice on the visa process and entering the country, but also support whilst you're here and also help you settle into life at the university, which we know is just as important as getting here. But not only do we have the international student support team, which is available to international students, but international students can also access all of the support services mentioned previously too by myself. Also, our colleges and our Dumfries campus have student support officers in place as well. And those are, a great resource for students within the colleges too. And students from the Dumfries campus can also access all the main facilities or services offered by the main campus. We also have the Student Representative Council that also have an advice centre which offers free and partial advice on a number of topics, including employment, accommodation, academics. So again, leaning on peers and fellow student body as well for support. For students coming overseas who are maybe learning and still that don't have English as their first language or are learning in English for the first time, there is still additional English language support that you can get whilst you're studying as well, which is important to highlight for whilst you're studying too. And finally, that like Louis and Disha have mentioned, that the clubs and societies are also can be a really good resource of support. First of all, you're getting out, you're meeting people, you're getting to socialise, and you can, find some really good friends and support networks there. And there are a lot of international societies within those 220, 250 that we do have on offer, including, the European Society, African Caribbean, South Asian Society, all here at Glasgow, and they get together for social events and again help you settle into life at the university and in Scotland. But just to highlight, you don't need to necessarily be from one of those regions to join those societies. You maybe just want to learn about those cultures and gain some more knowledge about their background, or again just get out and meet other people from different cultures, which certainly you can do.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Scott. And we are a really international university. So again, we have that support in place. You won't be the first person kind of moving away from home. We're there to support you kind of through that all. And we've just had another really good question come in about kind of travel and kind of how easy it is to kind of get around Glasgow. I wonder, Louis, can you help answer this for us about kind of how you get around the city?
Yeah, I mean, Glasgow is the largest city in Scotland, and I would say that travel is quite accessible to everyone. In the West End, we have the subway, which runs. It's also known as the Clockwork Orange, and it just runs in a big circle around the West End. It's relatively cheap and easy to get to and from campus to other parts of the West End. There's also lots of different bus services. Some of them are irregular. But most of the time, in this bubble, you can just walk to and from campus to other parts of the West End or the city. If you want to go wider, further out, maybe further south to like Queen's Park, Govan area, there's also local trains. So you've got bus, trains, walking, and there's lots of ways to get around on a bike. I know a lot of students nowadays are using bikes. And it's really easy to get to and from. So whilst it is the biggest city, everything's very accessible and relatively cheap. I also know, but I can't remember if this is I think this is true, that travel is now free for those under 22, I think it is, or maybe it's 21, but you get for bus and trains, or maybe not trains, maybe it's buses. I might need some confirmation on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 22. Travel in Scotland is now free on the buses, but yeah, so it's all good.
Perfect. Yeah, I can't remember the age off the top of my head either, but yeah, it's something like that, and that's definitely something to kind of get involved in. Another question has come in, and we get asked this all the time, kind of about students obviously living on a budget. And I wonder, Disha, if we can bring you in to kind of talk about how expensive you found living in Glasgow, and if you've got any kind of top tips about budgeting as well, that would be good.
So obviously there are a lot of student-friendly places like Lidl. I shop there every week. And I found that sometimes the West End can be pricey, but every student struggles with finances at the beginning. During Freshers Week, I was horrible with money. It just left my account. I never saw it stay there. But I would say it's definitely manageable. With time, you figure out how much you actually need to spend on groceries. So, coming from a large family, I only knew how to buy for a large family and cook for a large family, which meant I wasted a lot of money and food. But with time, you will learn how to budget properly. You'll figure out how much you need to spend on weekly groceries and then set some aside for you and your friends to have fun. But I would just say, no, Glasgow is not expensive, but you can make it expensive. So I would just say manage your money wisely and don't spend too much on alcohol.
Yeah, definitely. And I always say, don't, as soon as your student loan comes into your bank account, don't spend it all at once, because that's meant to last you till at least Christmas, if not into the new year as well. So yeah, it might be exciting having all this money in the bank for the first time, but please do not go absolutely wild. So there's definitely ways to kind of save it, isn't there? We've got a few questions left before we kind of finish the session. And these are actually some of my favorite questions, because I actually get to learn kind of new places to go and visit. So I'm hoping to rely on Louis and Disha for some top tips here. I'm going to first start off with kind of what their favorite place, or where their favorite place on campus is, like to spend time. Louis, would you like to go first?
Oh, Charlie, it's a really tough one. I think that the prettiest place for studying, that's just studying, is the university gardens. They're these really old Georgian architect, old buildings, and they've just got amazing high ceilings and wide rooms, lots of light, and they're just so pretty, and you can just study in them. But you know what? I think I'm going to say the university chapel, purely because university life can be very intense, and sometimes you need a breather, sometimes you need some peace of mind, find that happy place. And I definitely found that on a Tuesday evening every single week, the university chapel choir, they put on a free concert, choral music in the university chapel, and you can just go there, shut your eyes and just have some me time. And I would say that has been kind of my go-to, because the rest of the week is so intense and it's so university based. But the university chapel is 100% the place to go on a Tuesday night. So shout out university chapel choir, 100%.
No way, I did not know that. See, I'm writing that down. You always learn something in these sessions. That's really good to know. Sounds very relaxing. And what about you, Disha? Where is your favorite place on campus?
So as a person that very much likes her peace and quiet, I would say maybe the cloisters and the Hunterian Museum. The Hunterian Museum is so pretty, like the architecture is so beautiful, especially like the stairs that lead up to it. And me and my friends just like to sit by the cloisters and just talk, for hours. And we've watched the rain from there as well, so it's a very nice place. So I'd say that's my favorite.
And it's very pretty there, really nice, just like relaxing place, you're right. But yeah, the university has some really nice places, especially kind of good places for peacefulness as well. I think if you kind of want to kind of de-stress from a day of like studying or being in the library, you're definitely right. And then that leads us nicely onto favourite places in the city of Glasgow. Disha, I'm going to pick on you first. Where's your favourite place to kind of go within the city of Glasgow?
I think on a sunny day like today, Kelvin Grove Park and the Botanics are definitely the place to be. But I think my all-time favorite would be a pub called Dram. It's quite close to the University of Glasgow, and I would say it's very student friendly and it's such a nice atmosphere, and I'm always there. So yeah, if you want to find me.
You're right. The Kelvin Grove is absolutely amazing, and especially like it's so close to the university. A nice place again, walk around. Again, I'm writing down Dram. I've never been there, so that's probably another place for me to go and visit. And Louis, where's your favorite place in Glasgow?
Again, this is a really difficult question, Charlie, and I don't think I have a definitive one for this one, because in the West End, you've got a cluster of different coffee shops, restaurants, cafes. To name a few, I would say Paper Cup Coffee is fantastic. Chai Ovner is this very bohemian tea room, which is just right by campus. You've also got in town the Lighthouse, Charles René Mackintosh, which is it's like a view over Glasgow, and you can see the city from a skyline. But you know what? I actually know. Maybe there is. I think what's really cool about this place is that you've got museums on campus. That's right. Yeah, you've got multiple museums on campus. So when you're in the library doing your 9 to 5 or whatever for dissertation, as I have, I would take a break and I go right downstairs beneath the library where there is an art gallery, an actual art gallery showing German Renaissance paintings. Or you can just go over to the main building and you're going to go into the Hunterian Museum, which has all kinds of stuff from the Greeks to like modern contemporary history. So we've got museums on campus. I don't know any, I mean, I'm sure there will be, but I don't know many other universities that have museums and art galleries which you can go to during your studies. Like that's it.
No, you're right. And the Lighthouse, I've heard really good things about in Glasgow as well, with the views and stuff. Again, it's added to my list. I haven't actually been to visit yet. And again, with the art galleries and museums, they're all free. So again, perfect for those kind of student budgets, which is we're always looking for those money saving tips. Okay, so I'm gonna again put Disha and Louis on the spot, because I want to know kind of what your top tips are that you maybe wish you had known before arriving at Glasgow, what you can pass on to students who are maybe thinking about starting in September or looking at applying for next year. Disha, do you want to go first? What are your top tips?
I don't really have like a collection of them, but I think my biggest tip would be to not worry, whether that's social side of university, moving in, or even academic. Like everyone's in the same boat, and everyone, wants to be out there, make friends, and get good grades and figure out how university works. And with time, you will figure it out. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to kind of immediately just like from the first day know what you're doing and know what degree like you definitely want to pursue and what friends you're going to be in. Because I can say like just from being in first year, so much has changed. Like my semester 2 looks so different to how my semester 1 looked. So I would just say, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, and just, kind of go with the flow and be easy on yourself, and just know that everyone is exactly in the same boat as you. So there's no point worrying or stressing. You'll figure out as you go along.
No, that's great advice. And Louis, obviously you've been here for 4 years, so I'm hoping that you're going to have some good tips that you wish you'd known before coming.
Yeah, I think on a practical basis, unlike other universities, I mean, I've spoken to friends from other universities. When we enroll for our courses, when we choose our modules, we actually have to create our own timetable It's not an automatic, as soon as you enroll, that's your timetable for the week. You actually have to kind of plan it yourself. This has been the case every single year, even during the pandemic, and you need to do it. And you spend a bit of time on it, but it means it's also flexible to your needs. You can kind of plan when you want to lecture, but it is something to bear in mind, is that you have to plan your own academic timetable. Obviously, you choose your course modules. The other thing I would say is that not all clubs and societies are affiliated with the unions. This means that they have their own websites, their own forums. I mean, of course, you can go on Facebook and social media and you can find the clubs and societies, but some of them, if you were to type in like SRC or any of the 3 other student bodies, you won't necessarily find all of those societies you're looking for on those pages. So you'd have to do some digging. But that's it. That's what I have.
Perfect. That's really good to know. Okay, so we've got our last question, and it's again asking our lovely students, what is the best part about being a student at the University of Glasgow? So, Louis, you can go first. What is the best part of your time at Glasgow?
The best part of my time at Glasgow, well, it's cheesy as it is, people do make Glasgow, because I've been here for over 3 years, and I can tell you that people are so friendly. They will go out of their way to help you, no matter what you're doing, where you are. If you're lost, they will probably walk with you to the place you need to go to. Glasgow is just an amazing city, and as I say, originally, like, why I applied is for my course. It was top in the UK for like 4 years running on multiple different stratas. There's also the fact that you go 45 minutes out of Glasgow, and you're in nature. You're in the Highlands. You're in the mountains. It's insane. Ben Nevis is in Fort Williams, which is only, I think, maybe 45-minute train journey. So you've really got the best of both worlds. You can be in the city one day, and then immediately you're in the mountains the next day. So it's the pinnacle. People make Glasgow, and Glasgow is amazing. So represent.
That's great. You're right. You do definitely have the best of both worlds living in Glasgow, for sure. And finally, Disha, what is your favorite thing about being at Glasgow?
It's exactly the same as Louis. I would say, the people here are amazing. I love not only the university community, but the city as a whole. Like Louis said, people are so nice and so friendly. Even when you're walking down the street, you'll have such a nice conversation with a complete stranger. And also, like, the opportunities the university provides for you. My emails are constantly being flooded in by subject specific, and also general opportunities to get involved with and meet new people. It's just such a warm and close-knit community. And again, I love nature, so I'm constantly, like, on the weekends taking trains up to the Highlands, and it's just like a fun place to be, and I don't regret coming here at all, and I probably will stay here for a long time.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, we're glad to hear that. And we do find that students actually who do come up to Glasgow do tend to kind of stay up here, or at least stay up in Scotland as well. So thank you so much. That actually brings us to the end of our live Q&A. I really hope that you guys have found it useful and like a bit of an insight into what it's like here at the University of Glasgow. We do have an open day coming up on the 16th of June, and you can register for that now on our website. If you just type open day into the website, and you can register for that now. And that's a really great chance to actually come and visit the university, look around accommodation, speak to current students and academic staff to really kind of get an insight into the university for yourself. But that leaves me just to say thank you so much to Scott, Louis and Disha for joining me today. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.